Fundamentals of Chinese 1, Unit 2, Greetings, Asking about someone's nationality. Grammar. Turn to pages 29 to 32 in your textbook to follow along and take notes. In this dialogue, in this unit, you were introduced to the verb 是. 是 is one of the most common verbs and characters in the Chinese language, as we'll see very shortly. 是 is very similar to the verb to be in English. To be, I am, you are, he, she, it is. In English, we have to conjugate these verbs. In Chinese, there's no conjugation. It's always 是. So, unlike in English, in Chinese, a statement using the verb 是 can be made into a question simply by adding 么 and, of course, a question mark on the end of it. So if we were just to block out 么 in the question mark, we would have a statement that says 你是老师. 你是老师. You are a teacher. You are a teacher. We take this statement, you are a teacher, and we add 么 on the end of it, and we come up with a question. Are you a teacher? 你是老师吗? Okay, so you'll notice in English we say you are a teacher. That's the statement. When we want to make it into a question, we swap the you and the r. So we put the r in front of the u. Okay? In Chinese, that's not how we do it. You do not swap the 你 and the 是. All of this order stays the same. To make it a question, you simply put 么 on the end of it in a question mark. If you see a question and you want to make it into a statement, a question using the verb 是, there's other ways to ask questions. This is just a question with 是. Then you just take off the 么 in the question mark and you end up with a statement. So here we have the question, 你是老师吗? And then down here we have the statement, I am a teacher. 我是老师. Here's another statement using an individual. So this is an important example because in English, up here we would say, are you a teacher, or you are a teacher. So we have are. And here we say I am a teacher, so we use am. And here in English we say Leo is a teacher. So we see the three conjugations of the verb to be, are, am, and is. In Chinese, you will notice that there's no conjugation. In each instance, it's just 是, 是, and 是. 你是, 我是, Leo 是. You are, I am, Leo is. So here we're saying that Leo is a student. Leo 是老师. Alright, so just to recap, 你是老师吗? Are you a teacher? 我是老师, I am a teacher. Leo 是学生. Leo is a teacher. Okay. In most cases, sometimes you want to make a statement negative. I am not a teacher. She is not a teacher. You are not a teacher, etc. So the character that we use to make 是 negative is 不. As you see in this example here, 王鹏不是美国人. So here we're saying that Wang Peng is not an American. So if we want to say that Wang Peng is an American, we just take the 不 out. Wang Peng 是美国人. And if we want to say that he is not an American, we put the 不 before the 是. You can't put this 不 anywhere else. It has to go right before the verb. So we say 王鹏不是美国人. So Wang Peng is an American, Wang Peng 是美国人, and Wang Peng is not an American. Wang Peng 不是美国人. So, if someone asks you a question ending in ma, it's very easy to answer the question if you want to answer the question in the affirmative. All you need to do is listen closely to the question and then drop the ma from it. Okay? So if someone were to ask you if you were a student, 你是学生吗? All you need to do is drop the ma, and of course you want to change the you to I. So you drop the ma and change the 你 to 我, and you'd say 我是学生. So here's how that would go again. 你是学生吗? 我是学生. Okay? If you want to say no, I'm not a student, you put the 不 before the 是, like we saw in this previous example. So someone would ask you, 你是学生吗? You drop the ma, change the 你 to 我, change the you to I, and add 不 before 是. 你是学生吗? 我不是学生. So here's an example of that. Here's the question. Are you a teacher? 你是老师吗? 你是老师吗? In the affirmative, you drop the ma, change the 你 to 我, and you say, I am a teacher. 我是老师. 你是老师吗? 我是老师. Okay? If you're not a teacher, you drop the ma, change the 你 to 我, like you did in this example, but then just add a 不 in between 我 and 是, like we did here. 我不是老师. So, 你是老师吗? 我不是老师. Here's a similar example with Shing. Now remember, Shing is last name or family name, but Shing in Chinese is used like a verb. In English, when we say, what is your last name? Is the verb, and last name is a noun. In Chinese, the way they're asking, if English were the same as Chinese, we would say, you last name what? You last name what? Last name becomes a verb. So they're using it differently. This is why learning a new language can sometimes be complicated, because different languages express things in different ways. So because Shing is actually a verb, you last name Wang, and then it's a question, right? So when you want to answer in the negative, it's the same way. You put the bu before the verb. So before, in this previous slide, we put this bu before the verb. The verb in this case was 是. So in this instance, we're doing the same thing. We're putting that bu before the verb. In this case, the verb is Shing. So someone asks the question, is your last name Wang? 你姓王吗? Okay, 你姓王吗? And then to answer in the affirmative, you drop the ma, and it becomes a statement. Of course, you want to respond saying I, not you, so you change the 你 to 我, and you answer 我姓王. So here's a little dialogue. It could go like this. 你姓王吗? 我姓王. Now, if the person asking you this question is mistaken, your last name is not Wang, then you put the bu before the Shing. So is your last name Wang? No, my last name is not Wang. That's how this conversation would go. 你姓王吗? 我不姓王. So in the affirmative, 你姓王吗? 我姓王. In the negative, 你姓王吗? 我不姓王. Here's a typical business card. In China, I have my Plymouth State business card. looks the same way, English on the front, Chinese on the back. Can you guess in here where the name is? Now, you don't know a whole lot about Chinese names right now. What you do know is they're usually the last name first and then the first name second. And the last name so far you've seen is only a single character, and the first name is usually 2 characters. So can you guess where on this business card is the name? And if you guessed right here in the middle, then you are correct. Alright, here's some more explanation of the negative adverb bu. So we just saw bu being used with shi and bu being used with xing. And here are just a couple more examples. So if you took out the bu here, we would have a statement that says, I am from Beijing. 我是北京人. And adding the bu before the shi here, you make it into the statement, I am not from Beijing. 我不是北京人. Now here's another important difference between how Chinese and English how you express yourself using Chinese and English. It's quite different. So in English, when we're talking about where we are from, we use this preposition, from, together with the verb to be, am. I am from, you are from, he is from. Okay? In Chinese, they don't use a verb and a preposition together to express where someone's from. They use shi. So whenever you're talking about where someone is from in Chinese, don't try and translate from English thinking, oh gee, what is the Chinese word for from? There is no Chinese word for from in this case. Okay? Chinese don't express where they're from in this way. They simply use the verb shi to express where they're from. So for example, I am from Beijing. 我是北京人. Okay? If you're from America, I am from America. You would change this from 北京人. There is actually a way that you could say that you're from Beijing, but it's using a vocabulary word that you haven't learned yet. So just in this Unit 2, just keep in mind that when you want to talk about where someone is from, Chinese usually express this using shi. There are other ways to do it that are similar to the way we do it with the preposition from, but we're not going to worry about that right now. Okay, so let's take a quick look at this example again. I am not from Beijing. 我不是北京人. And here's another example. 李友不是中国人. Okay, so we have 李友不是中国人. Leo is not Chinese. So again, we have examples of how in English, am changes to is. Because here you're saying I, and here you're saying Leo. But what they're pointing out here is that nothing changes in Chinese. It's still shi here and shi here. Or in the negative, 不是 here and also 不是 here. So I am not from Beijing, and Leo is not Chinese. 我不是北京人. Leo 不是中国人. Here are some more examples of the use of bu. Here's bu being used with the verb xing, and here's bu being used with the word 叫. Xing for last name and 叫 for first name. So the teacher's surname is not Wang. The teacher's last name is not Wang. 老师不姓王. 老师不姓王. How would you make this into a question? You want to pause and see if you can write down and guess how you might make this into a question? Very simply, you would... Let's make this into the question that says, the teacher's name is not Wang? So you're confused. You thought the teacher's name was Wang, and now you're finding out that it isn't. So you're saying, huh? The teacher's name is not Wang? So you would just put a ma after this and a question mark. 老师不姓王吗? Okay? Or you could take the bu out and ask the question, is the teacher's last name Wang? 老师姓王吗? Okay, down here we have an example. My name is not Li Zhong. 我不叫李忠. My name is not Li Zhong. 我不叫李忠. If this individual here was going to say, my name is Li Zhong, then they would just get rid of that bu and say, 我叫李忠. Okay, we also saw the adverb ye, and ye can mean basically in English to or also. So it has this kind of meaning. But it has to go in a certain place in the sentence. In English, you could say something like, I'm a student too, down here. So we put this to on the end of the sentence. You can't do that in Chinese. In Chinese, this verb, adverb ye, must go right in between the subject and the verb here. 我也是. You cannot say 我是学生也. You can't do that. You must say 我也是学生, just like in this example here. I'm a student too, or I'm also a student. 我也是学生. Here we have another example. Wang Peng is a student. Leo is a student too. Wang Peng 是学生. Leo 也是学生. Okay, pay attention to the 也 comes before the 是. It cannot go on the end over here. Here are some more examples. 你是中国人. 我也是中国人. I am Chinese. You are Chinese. I am Chinese too. Or I am from China. You are from China. I am from China too. So this expression here, 是中国人, is you can use it when you're saying I'm from America or I'm from China, or if you're just stating I am Chinese or I am American. So when you want to say where someone's from, remember, don't think what's the Chinese word for from. Just realize right away that in order to translate this into Chinese, typically the Chinese just simply use the verb 是. There's no equivalent for from. So, 你是中国人, 我也是中国人. You are Chinese, or you are from China. I also am from China, or I'm also Chinese. Okay, here are some incorrect examples. Okay, 你是中国人, this part is fine. 你是中国人, this part is a mistake. 我是中国人也, can't do that. You have to take this 也 and put it over here before the 是. Here's another incorrect example. This front part being correct, this last part being incorrect. 你是中国人, 也我是中国人. Okay, you can't do that. Remember this 也, like in this example here, has to go before the 是right here, in between the subject and the verb. Now, you can also use 也 together with the negative adverb 不. Let's see how you do that. So here's our example with 也 and 不 used together. So here we have 王鹏不是老师. So Wang Peng is not a teacher. 王鹏不是老师. 李友 也不是老师. Leo is also not a teacher, or Leo is not a teacher either. So you have it if you're just using 也 or you're just using 不, then either the 也 or the 不 both go before 是. But if you're using 也 and 不 together, then the 也 comes before the 不. So let's look at this example again. 王鹏不是老师，李友也不是老师。Here's another example. 你不是纽约人，我也不是纽约人。You are not from New York. I am not from New York either. 你不是纽约人，我也不是纽约人。And that concludes the grammar lesson for Unit 2.